review here on the channel. This time we're doing something a little bit different. We're reviewing a whole season of television. Um, this past Sunday, episode 9 of The Last of Us aired on HBO Max to finish out season 1 of that show. And I wanted to get my thoughts out there, especially because I played the video game here on this channel. So if you haven't seen my first review here on this channel, basically the way we were going to do things, I'm going to keep it relatively spoiler-free. There might be a few spoilers sprinkled throughout, so keep that in mind. But I try to keep it relatively spoiler-free. We're going to go over what I liked, what I didn't like, and then give it a recommendation and a grade, basically. So, basically, The Last of Us tells a story of a guy named Joel and a girl named Ellie traveling across post-apocalyptic America, trying to get Ellie to a facility that can take advantage of the fact that she's immune to a disease that has turned people into these kind of fungus zombies. Um, and that's the premise of the show. So, what did I like about it? Number one, the casting. They got some great actors here, especially in the two leads. Pedro Pascal as Joel and Bella Ramsey as Ellie are absolutely great throughout the entire series. Most of the side characters too are very, very well acted. The the acting and the production value as well in this show is just so good. The set design makes you believe that this world is 20 years in the future after the apocalypse. It's just so well done. Everything looks amazing. The cinematography is really well done. And honestly, I like the pacing of the show. It gets to you where you need to be, shows you the main storylines. I think they did a really good job of changing some things because of the medium that they're doing. It's a lot different telling a story in a TV show than it is telling a story in a video game. There's more combat in a video game, for example. So they did a really good job of tweaking things and letting you spend more time with characters that you never really got to know in the video game, while at the same time really hitting those important story beats and not changing the overall point of the story. Now, so that's basically what I liked. And another thing that was really good about this is that pretty much every episode is excellent. There's only one episode I think that was a little bit lacking, and that was episode 4. But that episode still felt needed. It still felt important in the story that they were trying to tell. Now, for what I didn't like, there's really only one thing that I think that this show kind of had a misstep on, and it becomes very obvious late in the season. And this is about the only spoiler I'm going to go into. I am 99% sure that the last time you see an infected in this series is episode 5. After that, the infected never show up again. And I get what they're trying to do there. They're trying to build up the villain characters here, and it's a lot easier to give a story and a credible threat to a human character than it is to an infected character that can't have dialogue, can't have a character. It's just, I'm going to eat kind of deal. Zombie, basically. So I get why they did that. But the overall storyline of this being them trying to get someplace to cure this cordyceps is what it's called, virus, basically, the fungus that's spread all over the place. And the whole reason that they're taking this trip, Joel and Ellie are taking this trip, is to get there and cure this virus. I think is somewhat in some way undermined that by the time you get to the end of the season, you haven't seen an infected in 4 episodes, and that's 4 weeks of television. So it really downplays the threat that these things actually pose in the world, and it also downplays the significance of why Ellie is so important and why the decision that's made at the end of the season is so bone-crushingly devastating, but at the same time understandable. And I think they undermined their own story by doing that. What I think could have fixed this, honestly, is another episode. Um, I think if you just add one more episode towards the end of the season where the infected are the main threat again. I mean, yeah, 8 and 9 basically follow the storyline perfectly. So maybe push those 2 episodes back, let 8 and 9 be the end of your season because it follows the video game very closely in those episodes, and just put another episode in there where the Cordyceps once again takes a focus of an episode and really hammers down how much of a threat this still is even 20 years into the process of it happening. So that's my one negative with it, is I felt like the Cordyceps could have felt like more of a threat. But other than that, extremely enjoyed this series. I loved every moment with it. I think they changed enough that someone like me that knows the storyline as well as I do was still sitting there at the edge of my seat like, what's going to happen, even though I know what's going to happen. They did a really good job of doing it. And I have to make a special shout out to episode 3. Nick Offerman, and I forget who the other actor is, but playing through Bill's story. Bill was a very minor character in the video game. They really expanded his story here and gave you this whole episode dedicated to what it's like for just your normal people to go through the apocalypse. And I'm not usually one that enjoys love stories. It's not what I like in medium. I honestly hate that, like, it feels like you have to shove a love story into every single movie, into every single TV show. I'm like, just tell me a story. It doesn't have that, like, the guy and the girl character don't always have to hook up at the end of it. And not that this was a guy and girl, it was actually 2 men in this storyline, but it was one of the most beautifully written stories I've ever seen in a self-contained episode of television. And I wouldn't replace that episode for anything. That was so goddamn good. But really, the series in general is really good. If you haven't seen it yet, it is highly recommended by me. I'm going to go ahead and give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Just a little bit of a dock there for the whole Cordyceps not feeling as important as it needed to by the end of the season, but still a very, very good experience. Well worth watching, and 9 hours of great television. But guys, if you've seen The Last of Us, let me know down in the comments, what did you think of it? Did you enjoy it as much as I have? Do you agree with my assessment of the season? Do you agree with my assessment of what I didn't like about it? Or is there something else that you didn't like? We'll have a discussion down in the comments. Just try to keep things nice. I don't want to... I know some of the online discussion about this series can get a little bit vitriol with certain topics. I don't really want to breach those topics about, like, when we start talking about the race of certain characters or the sexual orientation. People are people. Let's keep it civil down there. But other than that, though, guys, let me know what you thought of this season. Let me know if you're looking forward to season 2. I'm feeling a little bit iffy of that just because I know where the story goes, and I didn't like the story direction of the second game, so we'll see how they're able to do that in the series and see, because I'll end up watching it because this was so good that I have to. But guys, let me know down in the comments what you thought. Other than that, I hope everyone out there has a good one, and I will see you next time. Peace.